So game talk.
Right. Yeah. Development has been going very slow. Who knew that having a single developer would make things go a little bit slower? However, things have at least been moving somewhat. Most of the stuff that's been accomplished has been planning stuff, right? Trying to organize stuff, right? We got a lot of POIs in the game figured out. Right, because we got a missile silo, we got a rig, we got a coastside town, a city. Actual points of interest on the map are coming together really well. When you're referring to the planning phase. However, creating those things is an entirely different story. It's going
Yeah.
to take a while for each POI.
We gotta cut most of the POIs done in Fortnite, right?
Yeah, we natively designed them in Fortnite, and we're porting them over. Design is down on most locations, yeah. Still planning on adding a few more. However, those can be designed a different time. We're just worrying about the big locations right now.
First off, you got a girlfriend yet?
Not yet. How about you?
No. How's Central been?
It's been all right.
How was the machine stocked up this past week?
I never really check them.
Oh, damn.
I don't waste my money at the vending machine.
I was trying because I think maybe I believe it was Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday. I was at Pine Forest High School, and the office guy called me and was like, "Hey, do you do Central High School?" And I was no. I wanted to be like, yes, but no. What? He's like, okay, bye. And I'm confused the shit out of me. And it was the gay guy that works in the office.
Who called you?
The gay guy that works in the office.
At your place?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So Central been good, especially with that new principal.
Yeah, it's been a better school. It just hasn't been as fun.
Yeah. What's up with the how's it been Central been with the DeSantis ban on cell phones?
Dude, it honestly ain't even much different. I mean, every teacher that would take your phone anyway still does it. The teachers that didn't really care still don't really care.
I figured the Central wouldn't really give a shit about the law anymore, but I figured that to last.
I've heard that Pace is a little more strict and that Milton is too.
Yeah, Pine Forest and Tate is also.
Really?
Yeah.
I think a lot of these candidates spend way too much time worrying about the other candidates that are running and not focusing on their own campaign. So what we've made it a priority to focus on what we do. I can't control what other people do or what other people say. So we're trying to stay positive, get our message out to the people and let them know that we are representing the people. We're not representing the system that currently exists because the system no longer works in this country. And I think any average American with common sense will understand that the system is against us. It is strictly and solely for the politicians and their benefit, their financial gain, and we need to change the narrative. So we're not paying attention to all the slogans and campaigns from DeSantis and Trump and Haley and Vivek and
Yeah.
Biden and Robert F. Kennedy. We're just focused on the Hudson campaign and trying to do the best we can to get to as many people as we possibly can. Well, I think at this point in time, with inflation kicking our butt, with gas prices through the roof, grocery prices are double what they were 2 years ago. I think we have to try and find innovative ways to tackle the inflation. One of the biggest things that we want to do is get back to fracking and digging our own oil. The United States is the number one producer of crude oil in the world. And we're very, very, very hypocritical in this country by telling the Middle East it's okay for you to frack your land and we're going to buy your oil, but we're not going to frack it here on our side of the planet. And if we want to be an America First society, then we have to do just that. We have to be a leader in all of our own resources so that we can become independent from the rest of the world. According to the textbooks and legislation, we became an independent nation in 1776. But as well as I do today, we are so reliant, dependable upon so many other countries in the world, and it affects our economy. It affects our trade, and we would like to start by fracking the oil, opening up a few more refineries, and producing our own fuel here in this country, which would drive the cost down. You get the cost of gas down, then our food cost will automatically go down because it won't cost as much to ship it. One of the other things we want to do as far as our groceries is we want to remove the food tax so that every food item that you buy no longer has a tax on it. And we want to extend that to like everyday household goods like toothpaste and toilet paper, deodorant, baby food and formula and diaper, because these are essential needs that we have to have. And I think in order to get our economy back where we need it to be, we have to give the American taxpayers a break. And this would be a great opportunity for them to save some money on their grocery cost and everyday household items that they need in their home. So get back to digging and get rid of the food tax and the everyday essential tax. And I think that'll help.
Shoot. Okay, this is a big one because a lot of people have been bringing it up. What about TikTok and TikTok bans, stuff like that?
Well, the United States says that private businesses have the right to run their business the way they see fit.
Yeah.
But I think if you are operating a business within the borders of the United States of America, you cannot forget about our amended rights in this country, like freedom of speech.
Yes.
If you don't like what someone says, scroll up and move on. Don't censor them. Don't make them be quiet by banning them, because that goes against the Constitution of the United States of America. So run your business, but don't silence anyone. Don't take anyone's freedoms or liberties away just because you don't like what they said. And the old saying was, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Nobody can hurt anyone by saying something through the internet. I can't physically reach through this phone and grab it.
Yeah.
If I say something and it offends you, then maybe America needs to start working on getting a backbone. Maybe they need to start being a little bit tougher, a little stronger, a little more thick skin to understand that this person has their opinion, but I'm not going to let them upset. Maybe that's the way we should start looking at things instead of getting offended every time somebody just spits something out of their mouth.
Okay. Another thing. I was just looking at this TikTok, so I was trying to get a few things, looking through your TikTok, trying to see if I could figure out some kind of topics to talk about.
Right.
Something that caught my eye was paid on maternity leave.
Yeah.
And I want to see if you can get a little more into that and what you mean by that.
Well, women who go on maternity leave do not qualify for unemployment, and there's not a lot of programs out there like AFLAC that would cover maternity leave. So women are expected to be out for 6 to 8 weeks with no pay, and then rush back into work. Well, we're actually working with a couple of insurance companies where we are trying to develop a policy that would cost a few bucks a week for women that they can buy into, just like their health care insurance or their dental plan, vision plan. And if they ever get pregnant, they can have up to 6 to 8 months to fully recover from childbirth, to get used to being at home and building that bond with their baby, and get paid through that insurance policy for the time that they're off. This is not going to be a government-assisted program where the taxpayers are paying for women to have time off. The employers aren't going to pay for this, so we'll create an insurance policy that insurance companies can offer to women so that if they get pregnant, they can take up to 6 or 8 months with pay. It's something they're buying into, just like we do with our health insurance.
Yeah. And getting more into the what was it? Getting more into the maternity stuff and all that. What about, say, deadbeat? I'm trying to find a better word to say it, but deadbeat dads who don't want anything to do with their kid, and moms love to go on maternity leave and figure out a way to pay for the insurance. Because you said it's going to cost a few bucks, but how will they find a way to pay for it?
To pay for their insurance?
Yeah.
Well, they pay through their employer. So the mother's got to be working to be offered the insurance plan. It's not set up for a stay-at-home mom who doesn't work unless we decide to have an additional policy, which would probably cost a little bit more money, that a mother can take out like a life insurance policy, but this would be a maternity policy. And if she got pregnant and didn't work, then she would have a policy there at her disposal to utilize. But this has absolutely nothing to do with men, because we don't birth children, we don't go through labor, we don't take time off after a baby is born. We usually are there for the delivery, and we're back to work 3 or 4 days later. So this is set up for women. And I'm surprised that a lot of men had something to say about this policy, as if they think it's fair for them. Well, don't knock up the ladies in your life, and you don't have to worry about it.
No, I mean, I don't care about them getting anything. I just mean more like, especially with men having nothing to do with them, and then trying to avoid having to pay for the kid. And
if a man doesn't want anything to do with their kids, they should sign over their rights in the courts and be done with it and move on. Don't hold on to the rights of a child so you don't want anything to do with that child, just so you can hold it over the woman's head. Just go ahead and sign your rights away and move on. And then the mother can have sole custody of the children and be able to make all the decisions for her children without that person's input. If the mother gets remarried and the new husband wants to chip in and help out, by all means he can. But the issue of deadbeat dads who don't want anything to do with their kids, just get it over with. Just have the balls to stand up and sign the paperwork and get it over with.
Okay, and then I had something else. I'm going to try to see if I can find a clip here real quickly. It is about, and it's something actually RFK brought up, but and it's in another podcast. It's about podcasts being a big platform for elections. And see if I can find this real quick. Well, I'm looking for that. What do you think? How do you think about stopping these forever wars? The Ukraine war going on right now, forever war, stuff like that.
If I was sitting in the White House right now, we would not have one bit of interest in what's going on in Ukraine. It's not our war. And nowhere does it say in the Constitution that we are supposed to fund a war or a conflict that has nothing to do with the United States. I think it is a illegal act for our government to send our taxpayer dollars overseas to fund this war when we have people who are living on the street here, people who are hungry here, people who are hurting and need government assistance, and that assistance is not available because we're sending $150 billion overseas to Ukraine, while the rest of NATO has only sent 20, 30, $40 billion as a whole. Why aren't they paying what we're paying? Why is it our responsibility because we're the United States of America? It's not. That money that we are spending for them, it would have overhauled the working class. To answer your question from earlier, $150 billion would have ended poverty.
Yeah. All right. I think I may have found it here. No, not that one.
I'm going to get you caught up on what it was. It's, of course, the theme.
Oh, that's not it. Okay, so I'm done looking for it. Basically, what he's saying is he believes because JFK, when he was running, had found podcast or not, it was television and used that as a big piece to get his word out amongst American people. Same, Trump used Twitter, and I'm not condoning Trump, saying he used Twitter to get his word out. Or if Gabe believes podcast is what's going to play a big part in this year's election on presidential candidates getting their word out to the American people. What do you think about that?
You know, I think they're on to something because a lot of my interviews then podcasters wanted to reach out and talk to me to let their audience know who I am and what I'm running.
Yeah.
And I think that the freedom of press, you know, it gives us all the ability to be independent reporters or have our own shows or talk about our own topics. And I think it's a great way for people to interact and get involved in something rather than just sitting around watching the media put out misinformation all the time. These are good platforms to join people, to unite people. You know, and there's nothing wrong with a good, healthy debate or discussion where people disagree, we can work it out and talk about the issues and find that compromise. I think it's healthy for people to be able to interact with other people in healthy environments. I don't see anything wrong with it, and I think that the podcast, because they are basically they're free. Like it doesn't cost me anything to come on here and do this interview with you. It is advertising. So you put it up on StreamYard and YouTube and TikTok and wherever else you put it. Those people that watch it for the first time will now know who I am and will start researching my website or my TikTok, or my YouTube or Twitter or whatever. And it's good notoriety. It's good advertisement for a presidential candidate. That way, we don't have to go out and raise and spend $14 billion to try and get into the White House. Being president was never about money, but our current way of doing things has been about money. So we ought to make it as easy as possible to get the message out to as many people as possible. That's where you podcasters come into play, because this is a great way to do this.
Yeah, especially so CNN, I believe their views were like 100 low, but and right above them was I forgot the name of it. It was Tucker or something like that. His podcast making more views than CNN. And then there's the Joe Rogan Experience, who has 49 million views.
Right.
Coming above that, more of a reach than that. And all these people watching his podcast. And when those candidates come on, they're exposed to 49 million people.
Right.
Yeah.
And I understand that because I did a radio show with a company out of New Jersey that was set up similar to this. She has one show that is on a world platform, and we broke a record on her show. The record was 21,300,000 listeners, and we had just under 23 million listeners for that show. It was amazing. So to be able to get on a podcast with Tucker Carlson or with Sean Hannity or Tulsi Gabbard or Joe Rogan, we reached out to him too. That would really blow up our exposure within the United States, because there's so many people that are fans of those podcasts that tune in and would rather hear that because they feel this is more personal than watching it on your TV. You got someone sitting in the home office with a guest sitting in their backyard like this, and we're talking. It allows people to interact.
Or even the ones that
watching TV.
Yeah, even the one podcasters that like Joe Rogan that have a studio that you're coming in and talking face to face with headphones on and mics, talking to each other face to face in this podcast studio environment.
Yeah, it's fun. I've got a guy in Lansing, Michigan, that has done 2 of those shows like that. He's got a studio in his home.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And every time I go in there, it's so cool to put the headphones on, have the microphone right in front of your face, and it's just such a cool experience. And they've got it set up where people can call in and ask questions and talk to you. And it just makes it more personal, because when was the last time you were able to call Fox News and ask a question live on TV?
I don't know.
You can't.
Yeah.
You can't. So this allows the audience to be somewhat interactive, and you never know. You comment something at the bottom, and the host or the guest may actually respond to you, which would be cool. I mean, it would be cool if I was on a podcast and Dwayne Johnson popped in and made a comment towards me, not my campaign. The Rock knows who Anthony Hudson is. That's so cool.
Yeah. And that, like I said, it'd be nice to, at some point, once my podcast gets bigger, be able to get a studio set up in my own place where I can get people in there and talk face to face. Right now, I got to resort to this, but
this isn't bad though. I mean, this is one-on-one. We're sitting here. It's raw. It's unedited. It's real talk, so to speak. And I think the American people prefer that over the lies and the deceit and the manipulation that comes through the national media.
Yeah. I do. So this is a big one because a lot of people have been talking about it. How do you feel about Biden not debating in the primaries? The first time ever that a president has not debated in the primaries, and they've completely taken that out and changed up the whole thing of every president's debated in primaries.
I think he should have to get in the debate to defend his seat in the Oval Office. I don't think you should just sit there thinking, I'm not going to debate, I don't have to, I'm going to say the wrong thing, or we can't control what he says. Those are the things that people need to see, because we base our votes on the responses or how people act during these debates. And for the president to say, I'm not going to debate, it should already be scary as hell for all of us, because it makes it sound like the Democrats are going to do whatever they can to keep him in office, whether he debates or not. So don't debate, Joe. We got you. We got this covered. That's what's scary.
And I'll be honest with you, I think it's completely. They know that if he debates at all, he's going to screw something up, and he won't become president. And that's why they want to keep him out, and not have him debate at all, so that he doesn't blow any chances of him becoming president again.
Well, I think his work ethic has already blown those chances.
Exactly.
The only thing I approve of Joe Biden is that he fell up a flight of stairs 3 times in 10 seconds. I approve of that message. I approve of him falling off the bicycle or tripping over nothing at an Air Force Academy or falling asleep at the Queen's funeral. This man is lost all touch with reality, and I don't mind saying that. because that's my personal belief. My campaign is not going to focus on Joe Biden's mishaps. We're going to focus on what we need to do to be successful and build our platform. But this administration we have right now is about as anti-American as we've ever seen. And it's scary. It's a dark future if it stays in office. Again, or if we let another Democrat like him take that seat, it's going to be extremely scary. And I think we have some good independent candidates that are stepping up, trying to run. I don't really like all of those on the GOP ticket because I'm really upset with the GOP right now. I thought they were better than the way they're acting, and they've kind of lost my respect. So I think they're going to dig their own hole, and I don't think they're going to have a very strong candidate. They're either going to have one that's on trial for his life, or they're going to have one of 5 or 6 other people that have not proved themselves in the public eye, and we have no idea where that's going to go. We have no idea what that's going to look like.
Now, what do you believe about Kennedy running and wanting to bring back the old Democratic values, the old back JFK values, and wanting to unite this? Bring his main campaign is wanting to bring people together, bring the Republican and Democratic Party together.
We have to be very careful with believing that because that was Joe Biden's entire campaign in 2020. Unifying this country, bringing people together. And all he's done is push us further and further apart. He hasn't unified anything. People are making less money, but we're spending more for our gas and our groceries. People are having to work more just to try and get by. We don't have any policies that are being pushed through that actually help the American people. Instead, illegal immigrants have more rights in this country and are getting more government assistance than American taxpaying citizens who are struggling. Why is that? Why are they getting government IDs? Why are they getting the privilege to vote? Why are they getting unemployment? Why are they getting hotel rooms and pushing veterans out of the hotels and into the streets? Why are they getting free bus tickets? Why are they getting free plane tickets? Why are they getting cell phones? Why are they allowed in this country illegally and then have more benefits than the American people? That appears to be the Democratic way. So when any Democrat talks about unity, I find it hard to believe because the actions speak louder than words. And what they're doing is they're trying to have this country overtaken by illegal immigrants and the Chinese. Otherwise, why are we selling our farmland to Chinese oligarchs in this country? Why are we not just telling them, no, the United States is not for sale, but get the hell out of here? And that's what we have to do. My administration, we're actually going to seize back the land from China. So if China ever listens to me or watches me, you're on notice. Because the land that you think you have today, you will not have tomorrow. When I get in office, I will take that land and I will give it to our farmers so that they can expand their crops and grow more food, healthy, organic food. Because the flip side of that is I'm going to pull the working permits for those factory farms so they can stop making fake meat and fake eggs and chicken and all that crap in a factory and get us back to eating healthy, wholesome, organic food grown in the USA. So there's a whole cluster of things right there that I'm sure people are going to be excited to hear and are going to be really excited to see put into motion.
Okay, what about them? We're going to do the damn list. I'm thinking stuff off the top of my head. What about you also got to think about what about the past Kennedys? What have they done? What if you somehow don't get in office, or if you don't get in office, what are you gonna do?
My plan is to continue to run in every presidential election through the year 2044. I'm not going anywhere. I have decided to make this run for the American people. And when I get dedicated and devoted to her, I commit to something. I will see it first. So Anthony Hudson will become a household name, no matter how long it takes. We will run in 28 and 32 and 36 and 40 and 44. And we will represent the people of the United States every step of the way. And we will not put forth a selfish agenda that is to help make government wealthy. We're going to actually cut the head off the snake, clean the house, and get the government back under the umbrella of the American people so that the American people have the power they're supposed to have in this country.
Yeah, well, okay.
People don't understand that government was created to work for the people. But in your own mind, in your conscience mind, you can't sit there and tell me that you don't work to pay the government. That's why you're taxed on it. It's got to go the other way around. The people are supposed to tell the government what it's allowed to do.
You shouldn't be able.
Any other constitution in the world tells the people. It tells the people what they have to do. Our Constitution allows us to tell the government what it's allowed to do. There's a difference. And a lot of people don't understand that.
But yeah, flip a little bit though. It shouldn't be. I believe we shouldn't be taxed on the money. We should only be taxed on the money that we spend, not the money that we earn. They shouldn't be taxing on paychecks or anything like that. Just like taxing groceries. That's okay. Government has to be able to make the money somehow, but that's the money
they
we
have to make the money somewhere, but we
that's the
don't
money
on our food.
Yeah, that's on
food prices to go down.
So that's the money we're spending, not the money we're earning. We shouldn't be taxed on money we're earning. We should be able to get if our check is if we earn $1,200, we shouldn't be making $1,000 because they're taxing $200 from our check. We should be able to make full $1,200.
Probably more than that, but I understand what you're saying. And, and you're talking about the 16th Amendment to the United States Constitution. And we've gone on video, we've gone on the record and said that we would fight to abolish the 16th Amendment or the taxation of our labor.
Yeah.
We don't agree with it at all. And if we can get that removed, then what you earn at work will go into your bank account, and then you're taxed on your products that you buy, your gas, your cars, your homes, your
So you think we may be we want our food prices to go down, but if we can get if we're not taxed on the prices that we earn or the money that we earn, the food prices all of a sudden don't seem that much of a big deal. Because then you're earning more money to be able to provide for your family, provide for your home.
Right, but we got to make sure that we get our electrical costs down too. You know, our energy efficiency is very, very important in this country, and right now energy costs are through the roof too. So, you know, you look at the groceries and you say, okay, we'll take the tax off the groceries. Maybe that's not an indefinite thing. Maybe that's something that we do for a period of 4 to 8 years just to give you a break, just to let you have a chance to breathe after how hard you've been working, how much we've all struggled over the last couple of years. So maybe it's a temporary thing, but if we can get this 16th Amendment abolished, then we can go back to talking about having taxes on our groceries. If that means that it will help cover the expenses in the United States. A lot of people also don't understand just how much money this country collects on an annual basis from the American people.
Yeah.
And until you can understand or fathom that number, it's easy to say, well, we got to tax our groceries. We really don't. We really don't.
It's also, like I said, going back to the middle class thing. Without a middle class, a middle in between this rich by millionaires and a middle between the poor people living on the street and all that, there's no There's no balance.
Well, there's no balance because the 99% of the people in this country are fighting tooth and nail and paying really, really high taxes on everything. You've already touched on that.
Yeah.
The wealthy always find loopholes or get, lower tax breaks or, what have you. They don't pay their share. I actually want the billionaires in this country to pay more than their fair share to help take some of the strain off the blue collar grassroots people in this country.
Mm-hmm. What you think? Because if you win, you'll be the first independent in office. What about that?
I would be the first independent president since George Washington.
It's a slim chance that any independent would be able to win, and if you do win, you'll be the first independent since him. What do you say to that?
People say it's a slim chance, but they need to understand reality. 26% of registered voters in this country are Democrat. 24% of voters are registered Republicans. 49% of registered voters in this country are independent. So it's not unlikely and it's not impossible that an independent can win the presidency. It's just what independent is going to stand up with the most common sense and the most policies or practices that are going to help the American people, not hurt them, not set them back anymore.
Yeah, you also got to think why. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off, but you also got to think about why most of these people are independent. I'm registered independent because, not because I agree with independence values or anything like that. I'm independent because I don't look at the parties. I don't look at what party you're running because, quite frankly, I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican.
Right.
I look at the
reason most
person
people
themselves.
are independent. But if those independent voters can stand up and support the independent candidate, he would win in the landslide.
Yeah.
49% versus 26 for the Democrats, 24 for the Republicans. It would be a voting massacre if the independents would stand up. And then with the Democrat Party and the Republican Party, you've got the moderates that are close to the line. They're not far left and far right. They're inching their way towards that common ground. So, like for me as an independent, I have a ton of Democratic support in states like New Jersey, New York.
Yeah.
I have a lot of support in Pennsylvania. I have support in California, which is a very big Democratic state. But then again, I also have a lot of support in Texas, Tennessee, Minnesota. I mean, there's a lot of Republican states that are looking at Anthony Hudson saying, I like this guy because he's one of us.
Yeah.
He's not a politician. He's not corrupt. He's not a billionaire. He's got good points based on common sense. And these points, these policies, they come alive because I live the same life you do.
Yeah.
I understand the struggles that we have because I live them. There's times I gotta not pay the cable bill, so I pay the electric. There's times I gotta, make my truck payment late so I can pay my mortgage on time.
Yeah.
That's what American people do. That's the life that we have to live because the people in Washington are making bad decisions that make us struggle. So when you convey that to the American people, and they say, you know what, this guy gets it. It's because I come from the blue class, blue collar. I come from the grassroots part of this society in this country, and I'm focused on helping all of us, except for the billionaires. I want to make life extremely difficult.
Yeah.
I'll go on record saying that.
Fix my light. Okay. Yeah. We're covering most of the shit I'm trying to think of. And I also had some shit that I can't find right now.
And we don't have to get it all covered in one interview. We can do this as many times as you want.
Yeah, that's the thing though. I'm small right now because this is my second episode. My first episode was a dummy episode I did with the human, trying to get him sit down. We talked about the game that he's working on, because he's actually working on making a game right now. I don't want to be one of those podcasts. I'm not biased at all. I'm having you on, and then if I can get an opportunity to get with another candidate, I'm gonna get that candidate on. I'm gonna get as many people from as many colleges as I can.
You got to do you. You got to do whatever is going to get your brand out, your platform out there.
Exactly.
I'm just happy to be part of it. You can go and tell people. I got to talk to a presidential candidate on my podcast. And that could open up the doors for you to get other independent candidates or one of the bigger names to want to come on.
Republican, Democrat, something like that.
But you got to start somewhere, and
exactly.
I started with nothing almost a year ago, and now I'm over 61 million people across the country. That's almost 25% of the voters.
Exactly.
That's not a bad number for the first 12 months.
Exactly, and even like I said, you gotta think though. But most candidates all corrupt, and like I said, Trump completely fucked up debates with his wanting to make fun. Used to all that make fun of people and like I'm gonna beat you and stuff like that. All that stuff used to be behind the curtains, behind backstage.
Yeah.
And then they'd shake their hand, and say blah 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 blah. I'm a you suck, stuff like that, and then they'll go back out into the people, put on a show, and have a friendly debate.
The debate is supposed to be amongst gentlemen,
exactly,
not immature kids. That debate last year between Joe and Donald looked very much like the argument between the two brothers, the stepbrothers.
Yeah,
you know, it was entertainment, but it wasn't political, in my opinion. And Donald Trump has this aggression. He has this in-your-face mentality. People are intimidated by that. I'm not.
That's why
people get in my face and see what he wants, and I guarantee you, I can do the same thing right back to him. But moving forward with Donald Trump, after everything that's been done to him, he is more about revenge politics and going after everyone that has come after him than he is focused on actually making America great again.
Yeah.
He is going to unleash a civil war of politics or policies that go after those who went after him. And when he does that, that's going to neglect the American people the same way Joe Biden has turned his back on the American people. Yeah. That's not good for us.
Yeah, the way Trump debates, he sits there and will sit there and find ways to make fun of you, ways to mock you, and that's how those candidates will cower down to him, and that's how people look to him, and that's how he got so many votes, because he makes the other candidates back down, and they're like, oh, he's strong, he's obviously the alpha, we're gonna follow him, and that's how he gets his votes. You need a president like, say, you or someone like Kennedy, who won't back down to him.
Well, not to throw this out there too soon, but I may have an opportunity. An invitation has been extended to me already to go down to a convention in Galveston, Texas in November, where Donald is expected to be there with me. So there is a chance I could be on stage with Donald Trump, Ron DeSantis, Tim Scott, Nikki Haley, and a couple other GOP candidates, and I would be there as the only independent candidate. And the invitation has already been extended We're just making sure that we can go. And if we can get there, I'm not going to back down from anything those people have to say.
And the thing is, even with DeSantis, he honestly, I'm gonna be completely honest with you right now. He had my support because of the stuff he did here in Florida. I live in Florida. The stuff he's did in Florida, he's had my support when I wanted him to run for president. Then he started becoming candidate. He started trying to run for president, and he just completely started showing all these radical movements and started completely. I've completely lost all hope for him. He's completely
DeSantis, in my opinion, to be hurting himself.
Yeah.
He needs to get back to what made him popular in the first.
Exactly.
He's trying to play aggressive politics with Donald Trump, and he's going to lose that battle 10
exactly.
out of 10
Just like he said in something else, he will not. So there's people will want to see a Trump and DeSantis duo, and he stated in some article or interview he will not be a vice president to Trump.
No, Ron DeSantis would be better off coming and running for my vice president.
Yeah.
He'd be better off in that role.
Yeah, probably. But just like with OFK, his whole thing right now is he is not going to attack anyone personally. He wants, when he goes into debates, he wants to be able to have a debate back like when the way his uncle used to debate.
Right.
A clean,
and that's the way they should
respectful
be.
debate. Yeah.
They should be direct, to the point, ask the question, answer the
Focus
question.
on what the
Don't spend all night belittling your opponent. You want to stand tall next to your opponent, but you don't want to disrespect them, humiliate them, and talk down to them. That's not being a leader. That's not being professional, and that's damn sure not being mature in the national spotlight. So those debates where they're intimate, the lighting is down, you got two guys standing on the stage, and they're being professional, and they're targeting the question, not each other. That's where you can find out who's got the leadership skills that you're looking for in a presidential candidate.
Yeah. Just like RFK before was a civil rights attorney and environmentalist. He used to sue big companies that were doing wrong, and used to get people for the people. And
when Michigan shut everything down, I booked a $46 flight to Orlando, and I went to Cape Canaveral and dancing, drinking, hanging out with friends, and living because Florida was over.
Yeah.
And nobody was stressing about COVID. Nobody was wearing a mask. We were at an establishment. We were drinking beer. We were dancing. We were out on the beach, living life. And it was amazing to be able to do that. And I liked the idea of Ron DeSantis running for president because he did leave Florida.
Exactly.
I decided to put my name in the hat and started running my campaign while he was still thinking about it. I was just like, you know what? I'm not going to worry about what he does. I'm going to get out here and speak for the American people, and I'm going to stand up and fight for the American people. And that's exactly what I'm doing. And it's been amazing so far. So we've got a lot of more work to do, and we've got a lot coming up. But I got two interviews tomorrow night. I'll be out 7 p.m. till 7 p.m. till about 11 p.m. tomorrow night, and then I have a TV show wanting to do an interview on Tuesday. So these podcasts, these interviews, these shows, they come in weekly. So we're excited to be able to do this. I'm glad you called us back out to come back on your podcast and do this again. It's always fun.
Exactly, and I'm extremely sorry about the commercial mishap, but that's why I wanted to bring you back onto this. And if I'm trying to build a podcast and build people that to listen to me, I want to bring you out and say, hey, sorry, but here's a new platform that I'm doing that to help promote you.
no harm, no foul. Things happen, and we learn, we grow, and we move forward. And I'm glad that you are still doing this, that you're moving forward with this, and I wish you nothing but the best of success with your podcast. And keep me posted and informed with how things are going, because I'll be curious.
Exactly. And like I said, I don't even know. I've been asking people to come on. I got to find some good guests. But
you can always go to the FEC list and find the other candidates that are running and figure out how to reach out to them.
yeah,
They've all got social media platforms.
definitely. Yeah, definitely. Well, I think we pretty much covered most stuff. He was just bringing up a bunch of other random topics.
Yeah, no, we covered a lot, and I've got to get my phone on the charger because it's going to die on me in about 10 minutes. So,
Exactly.
if you're interested, we're probably going to be live on TikTok about 10 o'clock tonight, Eastern time. So you're more than welcome to jump in and talk to us in the box if you want.
All right, I might try to join you in that, and say if I ever want to get you back in for another podcast, I'll definitely make sure to message you, especially after the debate, after the election. If you win or if you don't win, I'm definitely going to try to get you in there.
If I win, I'll extend the courtesy to have you come do a live podcast at the White House.
Okay, that sounds good.
We'll do that, all right?
All right. Well, you have a good night, man.
Thank you. I appreciate you for letting me come on.
Yep, have a good one.
You too.